The G&N Thoroughbreds of George and Norma Sedlock are the first inductees in the owner category for the Washington Thoroughbred Hall of Fame. The couple came from Ohio in the 1960s, Mr. Sedlock for a job in the packaging industry. George Sedlock had goals and met them.
He and Tom Armstrong then bought Ridgway Packaging, which was a smaller company at the time, and George built it into a very, very large company. And I remember all along, from the time I knew him, it was, when I'm 55, I'm retiring. And he said it many, many times, and on his 55th birthday, he did.
With a Hall of Fame business career completed, G&N turned to a new avocation in the early 1980s, thoroughbred racing. Jim Hawley was a bloodstock agent at the time.
Well, you remember Jan Smith, good friend of ours from way back. My wife worked with her, and she knew George and Norma, and they got to talking horses, and she said, well, I know this guy, and that was me, and you should talk to him. So we spoke, and I said, I'd love to help you out. And I had just met Larry and Sharon Ross not long before that, and I said, I think you should use these. I said, they're they only have a couple of horses, but I think they could be really good.
The first 4 purchases couldn't have gone much better.
We started buying some horses. The first one we bought was Colonel Stevens, and he was champion 2-year-old the next year. The next 2 were Market All and Dunable. Market All won the Speed and Renton handicap. Dunable became a real good producer for him. And then the next one I bought was SS Hawk. So the first 4 horses, one was the champion 2-year-old, won the lads. Market All was a stakes winner, and then the 2 fillies both became major stakes producers. So that was kind of the base of their start, and they started out pretty good. It was a fun time.
G&N broodmares Dunable and SS Hawk both produced not good, but great horses. Dunable's daughter by Colonel Stevens, Cadet Stevens, won 10 stakes and $450,000. Of SS Hawk's 14 foals to race, 13 won, and her best by far was Military Hawk by Colonel Stevens. Military Hawk, a Washington Hall of Fame inductee, won 17 stakes at 9 different tracks and is number 2 all-time among state-bred earners at $686,000.
Military Hawk takes the lead. Gary Stevens brings him out. Here comes Magic Class in a game effort. Military Hawk out there. Magic Class is closing with every stride. But to take the championship, it's Military Hawk.
Military Hawk retired in the winner's circle at Emerald Downs after his final start at age 10. Gary Stevens, who rode Hawk to victory on closing day at Long Acres, was up for Hawk's final race. Selecting the Ross team to train was another good G&N decision. Larry and Sharon Ross had their Hall of Fame day in 2016. George Sedlock was an important person in the transition from Long Acres to the opening of Emerald Downs.
George was a quiet man, an extremely bright man, a very well-respected businessman, and respected, as we all know, in the racing industry. Remember, when it was time to build Emerald Downs, he was one of the first standing tall, and I think we chose him to be Secretary-Treasurer. I can't remember the titles weren't important in those days, just getting that place built.
G&N's 1996 Emerald Downs stable was supplemented by claims and purchases to get the new track off and running. They won 8 stakes from 1996 to 2002. B. Charlie beat Find Our Star at the line in the 96 Emerald Cup, one of the most exciting 2-horse finishes in track history. Crowning Meeting still has the highest buyer speed figure at Emerald Downs, 116.
Crowning Meeting the outside, then Whistler Run. Inclinator by a half a length, holding Crowning Meeting. A 16th to go. Inclinator and Crowning Meeting fighting this out. Crowning Meeting gets the upper hand late, and Crowning Meeting wins the mile consolation from Inclinator and Whistler Run.
Moonlight Meeting ran second to Sabretooth in the 2002 Long Acres Mile.
He was always there, and whenever I needed any advice on the next move to make, George would be the first person I called.
Now called to the Washington Thoroughbred Hall of Fame, G&N Thoroughbreds.